Hey, what is poppin', everybody? On a pretty hot streak right now. We are 9-2 the last 3 days right now, looking pretty solid. Yesterday, another 2-1 day. Our lock of the day, Bobby Portis ends up hitting over his 13.5 points. Jaylen Brown ends up going way under on his points. Wasn't anticipating him to go that under, but we'll take it at the end of the day. And Jordan Poole ended up having a monster game. I think he had like 31 or something like that. Some rotational problems happened with the Warriors, so he ended up starting in the second half. Already had like 16 at the half anyways. He had an explosion game. Didn't think he was going to go off as well as he did. Clay kind of took a backseat to him this game. But it is what it is. That's the chances you take with unders, and I felt like yesterday was a good chance to go under on Poole. And he just did hit for us. But Jaylen Brown did and Bobby Portis did. So we'll get back at it today again. Got a couple of lines, not a whole lot, actually, if I'm being a whole lot honest, that I loved from today. Today's May 2nd slate of NBA games. But I still was able to pull out ones that I like, so let's go ahead and rock it. Let's get it. Real quick, if you guys are new to Underdog Fantasy, make sure that you there's a link down in the description I have that automatically takes you to the App Store where you can download Underdog Fantasy. Also throws in my TAKEMYSHOT code when you guys sign up for that. So when you make your first deposit, it helps me out big time, as well as it gives you a 100% deposit match up to $100. So if you throw in $20, for example, you'll get actually $40, and they'll give you another $23 just to bet on for funsies, a little risk-free bets for fun. And so that is always nice as well to get those risk-free bets. Also helps me out, like I said, big time if you guys use my code TAKEMYSHOT. Because all my picks every single day are always going to be Underdog Fantasy picks. I think it's the best player prop betting app out there. With that being said, now let's get to today's picks. All right, baby, coming out with lock of the day. Let's get it. Yesterday, our lock of the day was Bobby Portis over 13.5. He would slap that line for us. The day before, it was Kyle Slaughter, slapped it for us. The day before, it was Ja Morant, slapped it for us. We're on a hot streak with our lock of the day. So bringing it in today with a Phoenix Sun versus the Dallas Mavericks. Absolutely crushing his line in the past with them. Give me DeAndre Ayton, the Phoenix Suns big man, over 10.5 rebounds today. In his last 5 matchups versus versus Dallas Mavericks team, 14.4 rebounds in their last 5 matchups. 3 17 rebound games, and he's hit his line 5 out of 4 times. Got one game he only had 8. But crushed it all those other 4 games. Obviously, the Dallas Mavericks' overwhelming weakness is interior size and rebounding. Jonas Valanciunas absolutely exploited them. Not Jonas Valanciunas. Rudy Gobert had some solid games rebounding the ball. In that last matchup, obviously, he's the league's best rebounder. DeAndre Ayton, all around, is a little bit of a better center. Only just doesn't have the defensive ability as Rudy Gobert, but stats show it. Had monster rebounding games versus them in this regular season in their last prior matchup. So I'm going to take DeAndre Ayton today as our lock of the day over 10.5 rebounds versus the Dallas Mavericks today. Lock it in, baby. Next up, give me his point guard, Chris Paul, over 10.0 assists. In his last 5 matchups, he's also hit 4 of his last 5 matchups versus the Mavericks. He's averaging 12 assists per game in his last 5 matchups and 14 rebounds per game in their last 3 matchups. Obviously, when he takes on this Dallas Mavericks team, he kind of takes away from the scoring aspect of his game and play makes and facilitates a lot more. Booker is not up on Underdog Fantasy or any books right now, so I'm curious. I guess his status must be up in the air a little bit. Obviously, if Booker doesn't play, that affects this line just a little bit, but if he does play, just still going to go with it. I like Chris Paul's assist for us today. Obviously, the point guard, 11 assists in his 11 assists and 11 assists and 8 assists as last 3 games versus the Pelicans. And today he takes on the Dallas Mavericks, and he's had huge success in the past, so we're going to continue to ride that success. So give me Chris Paul over 10.0 assists today versus the Dallas Mavericks. Next up, give me the big line, okay? This one's going to be coming from the 76ers game. Obviously, huge news that Joel Embiid is out. Changes this series a lot. Changes this series massively. Tried to find the players that have had success this season without Joel Embiid, but Joel Embiid actually stayed pretty healthy throughout this entire regular season. But I'm going to go to James Harden. I'm going to go to the All-Star guard, and we're going to go under his 25.5 points. I just think it's too much. Going back to his history versus the Miami Heat, it's pretty bad. His last 3 games this season, as a Brooklyn Net, I will add, as a Brooklyn Net this season, only was averaging 21 points per game. In his last 3 matchups, not 23 points per game, only averaging 15 points per game in his 3 matchups this season versus the Miami Heat in Brooklyn. He had 12 points, 20 points, and 14 points. Obviously a little bit of a different team than the 76ers, but the Miami Heat at a huge focal point to stop him in those 3 games. So today should also be a pretty huge focal point for them because with Embiid out, that means Harden's going to be that next option. So we saw what they did last series to Trae Young. I'm anticipating them to do the same exact thing to James Harden today. They'll let anybody but James Harden beat him. So I would actually anticipate Tobias Harris and Maxey to have bigger games today than James Harden does, as the Miami Heat will allow that. They just won't let James Harden get the better of them in this game today. So bad performances in the past, kind of the same story here as we had with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum yesterday. So I'm going to take James Harden under 25.5 points. I think it's just too high. I think Maxey and Harris have the bigger game today. So take James Harden's under today, under 25.5. Let's get it. And with that being said, let's get a lock up our perfect 3 slip. Give me Chris Paul, our lock of the day, or excuse me, DeAndre Ayton, our lock of the day, over 10.5 rebounds. Chris Paul over 10.0 assists, and James Harden under 25.5 points to round out our perfect 3 slip today. Alright guys, that's going to wrap up today's video. But being quite honest, there wasn't a whole lot that I was really jumping off the sheets for me that I was loving a whole lot. So I just went back, kind of dug into it, and kind of pulled out these games that I've had, pulled out these players that I've had success in these matchups. Really liking this Harden one, guys. I'm telling you, he's really struggled in the past versus this versus this Miami Heat team. We saw what the Heat did last series to Trae Young. I understand Harden and Young aren't at all the same player, just age-wise and playing style-wise, but trust me on this one, the Heat are going to do everything they can to stop Harden. If you're smart and you're Eric Spoelstra, you're going to do everything you can to stop Harden. And if Maxey or Tobias Harris beat you, you live with that. But even those guys won't have big games. Tobias Harris is going to primarily probably be on PJ Tucker at times. So I'd like the chances for Maxey to probably have to be the number 1 option today. So I'm liking James Harden under that points today for sure. Ayton had big games in the past. Chris Paul had big games in the past. So these are still 3 solid plays, even though I don't like the whole slate of the day today. We're on a really good streak right now. Let's try to keep it alive. And I will catch you guys tomorrow. Peace.